Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Munman Paracharya. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and Pakistan agree to stop fire effective from 5 p.m. IST after Pakistan's DGMO called his Indian counterpart. India's Foreign Secretary says instructions given to both sides to implement it. India's External Affairs Minister says understanding reached between India and Pakistan, adds India has consistently maintained a firm and uncompromising stance against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. India's armed forces say they will adhere to the understanding reached but will remain fully prepared and vigilant and respond to any misadventure with strength. India and Pakistan agree to what seems like a functional truce after days of military action and heightened tension between the two neighbours. Here's India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri making the announcement in New Delhi today.
The Director General of Military Operations of Pakistan called the Director General of Military Operations of India at 15:35 hours earlier this afternoon. It was agreed between them that both sides would stop all firing and military action on land and in the air and sea with effect from 1700 hours Indian Standard Time today. Instructions have been given on both sides to give effect to this understanding. The Directors General of Military Operations will talk again on the 12th of May at 1200 hours.
A joint press briefing was held in New Delhi by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Armed Forces following the recent India-Pakistan ceasefire agreement. Commodore Raghu R. Nair, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh and Colonel Sophia Qureshi addressed the media to outline the terms of the understanding reached between the two nations. Commodore Nair stated that the Army, Navy and Air Force have been instructed to adhere to the agreement. He emphasized that the ceasefire includes a complete halt to all military activities across land, air and sea.
You're aware there's an understanding that has been reached to stop all military activities at sea, on the air and on the land. And the Indian Navy, Indian Army and the Indian Air Force have been instructed to adhere to this understanding. Since the tragic events at Pahalgam, you're aware that our responses have been measured and very responsible. Details of these have been shared with you over the past few days through our various press briefings.
Addressing the press, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh firmly dismissed Pakistan's misinformation regarding alleged targeting of Indian military installations.
Several attempts were made by Pakistan on spreading a misinformation campaign, as we have seen for the last few days. There were attempts made to say that our S-400 at a northern base was destroyed, which was completely false, and that it was destroyed by a JF-17, it was a false information. Also that the BrahMos installation was attacked and it was destroyed was false. The destruction of airfields at Srinagar, Jammu, Pathankot, Bhuj, Nalia, etc. was also a false claim. The forward ammunition dump at Chandigarh and Beas are also fit and fine, and we showed you these in the photographs in the morning briefing today. Also, there was a certain different way of miscampaign that the Pakistan conducted by its press conferences, which was conducted in a manner which were completely misleading and devoid of facts. Pakistan has been spreading fabricated allegations that the Indian armed forces have targeted mosques. Let us make this very clear here that India is a secular nation and the Indian armed forces are a reflection of our constitutional values. We hold every place of worship of all faiths in the highest regard. Our operations have been aimed exclusively at terrorist camps and facilities being used for anti-India activities. No religious sites, I repeat, no religious sites have been targeted by the Indian Armed Forces. Over the past few days, as we have seen, Pakistan has suffered very heavy and unsustainable losses after it has given us an unprovoked attack on our installations. It has suffered losses in both land and air. There has been an extensive damage to the crucial Pakistani air bases like Skardu, Sargodha, Jacobabad and Bholari. In addition, a loss of AD weapon system and radars made the defense of Pakistani airspace untenable. Across the line of control, extensive and precise damage to military infrastructure and command control centers and logistic installations. Addition to that, 2 military personnel had led to complete breakdown of its defensive and offensive capability and also Pakistani morale.
So before both sides agreed to stop fire, Pakistan's provocative moves escalated tensions between India and Pakistan. Pakistan launched drone and missile strikes on Indian military and civilian targets, including hospitals and schools as well as places of worship in J&K. India responded with precision airstrikes on Pakistani military installations, vowing to treat any future terror attacks as an act of war. Here's a report on India-Pakistan tensions before both sides stopped fire.
Pakistan is continuing its provocative actions with the intent to further escalate tensions with India. It's moving its troops to forward areas along the border. According to the Indian authorities, Pakistan targeted 26 military locations and civilian infrastructure across Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat with drones and missiles.
It is Pakistani actions that have constituted provocation and escalation. In response, and I repeat, in response, India has defended and reacted in a responsible and measured fashion to these provocations and these escalations by the Pakistani side. Earlier this morning, we saw a repeat of this escalatory and provocative pattern.
In a shocking display of disregard for human life, Pakistan struck hospitals and schools near key air bases in Srinagar, Avantipur and Udhampur. Pakistan targeted places of worship like the famous Shambhu temple and residential areas in Jammu.
Pakistan continues with its execrable and wanton campaign of targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure, especially in the states of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. There is also on its part a consistent attempt to sow discord between communities in India. Pakistan shelled the town of Rajouri, killing the additional District Development Commissioner Shri Rajkumar Thappa, adding to the civilian casualties and the damage in that state. We have also observed overnight damage to property and injuries to civilians in Firozpur and Jalandhar, among other places.
Multiple armed drones were sent through the night. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by Indian Army's air defense units. In response to Pakistan's hostile actions, the Indian forces carried out precision strikes at Pakistani air bases, ensuring minimum collateral damage in the process.
In a swift and calibrated response, Indian Armed Forces carried out precision attacks only on identified military targets. These included technical infrastructure, command and control centers, radar sites and weapon storage areas. Pakistan military targets at Rafiqi, Murid, Chaklala, Rahim Yar Khan, Sukur and Chunya were engaged using air-launched precision weapons from our fighter aircraft. Radar site at Pasroor and Sialkot Aviation Base were also targeted using precision munitions. While carrying out these responses, India ensured minimum collateral damage.
The Indian Army launched a coordinated attack on terrorist launch pads close to the line of control and destroyed them. The terrorist launch pads were a hub for planning and executing terror attacks against Indian civilians and security forces in the past. Meanwhile, on Saturday, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a meeting with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff and Chiefs of Indian Armed Forces at his residence in New Delhi. Government sources say India has decided to treat any future act of terror as an act of war and respond accordingly. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
In the digital age, warfare transcends traditional battlegrounds. Alongside military operations, a fierce information war was being fought online. Following the Indian Armed Forces' precise and strategic action under Operation Sindoor, India found itself targeted by an aggressive campaign launched by Pakistan, full of lies and misinformation. The aim was to distort the truth, mislead the global public, and reclaim lost narrative ground through a storm of misinformation. But India proactively responded and dissipated that misinformation with facts and transparency and showcased strong digital vigilance. Here's a report.
Pakistan has also attempted to execute a continued malicious misinformation campaign with claims of destruction of Indian S-400 system at Adampur, destruction of airfields at Suratgarh and Sirsa, BrahMos base at Nagrota, RT gun positions at Derang Yari and Chandigarh forward ammunition depot, with heavy damages to other military stations being propagated on social media. India unequivocally rejects these false narratives being spread by Pakistan.
India's defense establishment dismissing false claims that are being repeatedly peddled by Pakistani state agencies. Pakistan has been trying to mislead the world through false claims on damages inflicted by its escalatory moves on India's military infrastructure. Here are some examples of how Pakistan launched a disinformation campaign and how India countered it with a focused approach. India called out a viral claim about an Indian female Air Force pilot captured by Pakistan, saying the image being circulated is from June 2023. India also exposed a video aired by AIK News, a Pakistani television channel on live TV, that had claimed that Pakistan had destroyed the Udhampur air base in Jammu and Kashmir. India also shed light on how an old and digitally altered video was being falsely circulated as footage of a Pakistani attack on the Nagrota air base. Here's India setting the record straight. In fact, besides misrepresenting old photographs and videos as recent and combat-related content, high-ranking Pakistani officials, including ministers, promoted unverified and doctored content on social media. For instance, Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar claimed that the Pakistan Air Force shot down 5 jets and drones. By countering false information with facts and remaining rooted in credible communication, India has not only defended its territorial sovereignty but also upheld the integrity of information. In an era where perception can shape policy and panic can spread with a tweet, India's ability to expose and neutralize misinformation is as vital as its ability to win on the battlefield. Bureau Report, DD India.
Joining us now for quick perspective is Ambassador T.C.A. Raghavan, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry. Such a pleasure to have the two gentlemen here on DD India. Ambassador, we heard India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri say that the call came this afternoon from the Director General of Military Operations, or DGMO, of Pakistan to his Indian counterpart, and they agreed to stop fire starting 1700 hours today. Did back-channel diplomacy between India and Pakistan make that possible? Ambassador, can you hear me? Okay, I'd request you to turn on your audio. In the meantime, I'll come to you now, General. What made the India-Pakistan stoppage of firing possible, and when the DGMOs talk again at 1200 hours on the 12th of May, what could happen? Can this understanding further solidify?
Thank you, Manmohan. I think first and foremost, we must congratulate the strong political leadership that now India has. We must congratulate the professionalism exhibited by the armed forces, and we must congratulate the entire nation for having stood like a rock fighting terrorism. I think that is something that we all ought to be proud of. Now, what is it that made Pakistan virtually throw towel? Is for a very simple reason. Pakistan realized that it can't stand the might of the Indian armed forces. The very fact that 9 of the targets in just about 25 minutes, in about by 24 missiles, and knocking off the entire Lashkar-e-Taiba, your Jaish-e-Mohammed, and the Hizbul Mujahideen, the terrorist modules that were functioning there, all been wiped, over 70 to 100 of them dead. Masood Azhar, who thought himself a person that nobody could do anything to him, weeping that wish he had died along with the family that got wiped out. This is what shook Pakistan. And the fact that their funeral wrapped in Pakistani national flags, and you found people in uniform standing, giving virtually a state funeral to this terrorist, is indicative the hand in glove that Pakistan is with. And Pakistan is the terror hub. Pakistan continues to use terrorism as an instrument.
So you are saying, General, that since India responded in equal measure to Pakistan's escalation, that brought pressure to bear on Pakistan and made it ask for stoppage of all firing?
Absolutely. Pakistan realized that it can't stand the might, and what India could do with that precision is what brought them on their knees and probably asked for the fire to stop. Because whatever they may have done, they were left with nothing more than about 4 to 5 days of logistics, of ammunition, of petrol, diesel, and anything of that matter. And Pakistan, economically shattered, militarily weak, what would they have done? They could have done nothing whatsoever. They would have only been defeated hands down. But then Pakistan probably realized with good friends that it is so much better that the DGMO could request the Indian DGMO that could this firing be stopped at from about 5 o'clock this evening, because the 6 of their airfields have been hit so hard. They have 16 of those, and 6 hit so hard that they didn't know that the entire air defense was a failure. They couldn't stop even one. All the missiles and drones that they used against India, most of them were brought down by our air defense. So that is what made Pakistan realize that it is not possible to do anything, and it would be in their interest. I'm glad at least we now say, stated very clearly, Munmut, that in this stoppage of fire, that any act of terrorism would be seen as an act of war. Yeah.
Yes, Ambassador, 2 questions to you. I had come asking to you initially about whether you think back-channel diplomacy between India and Pakistan has worked finally. And also, what do you make of the fake narratives being peddled by the Pakistani state as a part of information warfare? How does that reflect on the state of Pakistan, including false claims that India attacked places of worship in Pakistan and that India launched false flag operations against places of worship within India?
Well, to answer your second question first, given Pakistan's record in these matters, I don't think we should pay much attention to their narratives. They don't have credibility in Pakistan itself, and they certainly don't have any credibility in the global community. I think we need to take a larger view of the situation today. What the had said a little while back.
Right.
with regard
Ambassador
to
Raghavan,
Europe.
we'd request you to try and reconnect with us. There are some audio issues that are surfacing. General, senior Pakistani military men had attended the funeral of terrorists, giving them a state funeral, so to say. So treating act of terrorism as an act of war by India should also be seen then through the prism of non-state actors, not just acting in cahoots with state actors, but also acting on behalf of state actors, isn't it?
Call them non-state actors. They're very much the face of those real actors, and that those real actors are the Pakistan Army. It is Pakistan Army's face. They're all working on behalf of Pakistan Army under various garbs, under various names, whatever it may be, because the very fact that Pakistan in its mind from 1947 has just to ensure hate India. There's nothing that Pakistan Foundation is based on other than hate India. The very fact the Pak Army probably wants to show its relevance to its countrymen is, if not for the Pak Army, the nation would almost finish. It isn't like that. The Pak Army has gone too big for his boots and therefore is controlling everything. And the very fact that the Secretary of State, United States of America, had to speak to Munir. He could have spoken to anybody else, but he decided to he chose to speak to several reasons that everybody probably they understand the one-point contact in Pakistan.
Just one line, General. Can India afford to drop its guard now, or should it continue to ensure the highest level of military readiness, even in these circumstances? Very quickly.
Leopards don't change their spots. You cannot trust Pakistan. We have to be vigilant. We have to ensure that terrorism in any form has to be knocked out. There is no way we can provide any relief to terrorism. Yes, everything else, but terrorism will be dealt with very, very firmly, and we cannot trust Pakistan.
Okay, so you are saying that we should give peace a chance, yet not drop our guard. We leave it at that. General and Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us with your views on this broadcast on DD India. So that's it then in this edition of DD India Live, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.